Welcome to CasualBCH. In this episode, we talk about what we think BCH needs and what we'd rather be doing.
Thanks for having me back, guys. That's great.
Oh, I gotta go now, so... Okay, miss questions, go.
What?
You had questions, you said.
Oh, you want to start with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi,
All right.
and welcome to another episode of CasualBCH.
Good job.
Good job.
I decided to do let's ask some BCH Maxi questions.
Okay.
Where are you going to find a maxi?
I'm looking at two on the screen.
Go on.
Okay. So in short form-ish,
Okay.
so not 30-minute responses,
Rapid fire.
rapid fire-ish.
Lightning quick.
Oh.
That was bad.
That was cringy, I know.
In your opinion, Cheapy first for this one,
Okay.
what is the sign that BCH has made it or has it already?
Yeah, definitely not made it. I think for me, and you may think this is a joke, but it's not. I was actually thinking about this the other day, probably in the shower. Exactly this question, like, how will I know that we've succeeded? And if at some point I'm able to buy big Costco hot dogs with BCH without going through like an intermediary, I'll know that we've made it. Like, that's absolutely the peak right there. It's like, if Costco is accepting BCH, then it's mainstream. It's basically done. Obviously right now, Costco exclusively accepts MasterCard. If you're able to get through some, card provider, I don't know which ones are available in which countries or whatever, but if you can get like a crypto backed MasterCard, well, then you can sort of kind of pay in Costco
That's
with
true.
BCH, but you're not. You're paying with a MasterCard still. So, when you can natively use the POS at Costco to pay with BCH, I think that's where we've made it. We're done.
So your goal is to purchase a hot dog.
Yep.
Specifically from Costco, nowhere else.
Sure. You asked specifically, like, when do I know we've made it? I think we've made it when a major retailer like Costco is accepting BCH.
Okay.
Obviously, if it gets to the point where you can natively pay at McDonald's or something, I think it would be equally as valid. But
BCH
for me,
is trash.
It's all right.
Not at Costco yet, still trash.
Yeah, it's still trash. Yeah. Yeah, just widespread retail adoption would be made. But also, to be fair, and let's have a 30-minute answer now.
Whoa! We can have a 30-minute in a second.
Okay.
My turn?
Your
Okay.
turn.
I'll take a different view and say some heavy retail adoption is starting to occur, but governments start actively fighting it in terms of like banning it, going after companies, auditing companies to make sure they're not accepting crypto or specifically BCH, because it's becoming a major threat. So it's not going to be like global worldwide adoption at that stage, obviously, because there's going to be countries fighting it. But once it hits that stage, I think it's hit the point of no return.
Okay.
I feel like the government's never actually fully attacked crypto. It's definitely been doing stuff behind the scenes, aggressively against it, but it's never been in like fight or flight mode of we have to stomp it out. And if it ever got to that point, I think that's going to be like the last wailing of the government, like flailing around trying to do anything they can to stop it.
There have been several countries that have banned Bitcoin, right? Like China's banned Bitcoin like 10 times already, right?
But never really.
See, if you take it a different approach, Canada has done things where they've picked the top 4: Bitcoin, Ethereum, BCH, and one other.
Yeah, but that's them still accepted. Like if crypto actually starts rivaling fiat currencies and like they're struggling to get taxes, they're gonna fight they'll do everything they can to stop it. I mean, some countries might not, but I feel like the States, for example, if they started having major issues with 50% of their population basically opting out and using crypto and not paying taxes, or whatever issues come up because of that, they're going to start freaking out.
tinfoil hat tells me that they have different plans, right? So don't fight it, control it.
Then that's what I think they're doing now. And that's why I think if they get to the point where they come out of the shadows to fully fight it, then that's the point where it's out of their control and they're in their death throes almost.
I wouldn't
Sounds
see them
fun.
fighting it more so than adopting their own.
Well, that's what the CBDCs will be.
Yeah, competing.
Yeah. So like once the CBDCs start heavily coming out and people start moving on to it, it would make sense for them to start banning things like Bitcoin.
It's true.
But it kind of depends. If Bitcoin isn't, or crypto in general, isn't that popular, it's still a minority of people using it, they can just ignore it. Just control it, ignore it in the side until it just kind of peters out and let their CBDCs grow.
You have to remember, though, is that the government is made of people. And if there's enough people in the government who are getting rich off of crypto, they're not going to ban it. They're going to be like, yeah, more of this. Let's open the doors. Let's,
This is true.
The ways to make money are not limited to just OPEC. Oil is not going to be the backbone of the world economy forever. We're going to move on to other things. I don't necessarily think the government being this monolithic entity is going to crack down on BCH specifically. I think it's going to be a muddy mess of various cryptos until sort of comes out on top as far as usage, but not necessarily with dark troops busting in doors looking for ant miners. I don't think it's necessarily going to get to that point. I think it's, if anything, it'll be shadowy stuff where they perhaps create a stable coin and then use that stable coin to inflate the market that they themselves make profit off of it, then use those profits to reinvest in the stable coin, which then reinvest in their coin of choice, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I wouldn't really expect shock troopers, just more making it illegal and then going after people that way and, fining, taxes, making it so businesses can't accept it, trying to destroy the economy of it in like a more worldwide sense. Very hard to stamp down, but it's I just feel like if you look at all the ways they can make money, they can make way more money by controlling it and doing things like inflating things with money they can print. And if that's a stable coin they can print and inflate it, they can do it that way. But I feel like there's so many people that have got into the early cryptos that if they let them get gigantic, some of these people are going to have like more money than countries. And why do that when
maybe they do?
But it's just going to get worse if these cryptos get bigger. So all of these companies and stuff that never got into it at the beginning would make more money, companies, governments, if they can collapse those networks and make other networks come up that they have a vested interest in.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
What's your 30-minute answer, Cheapy?
Well, I was going to say, Bitcoin Cash is not scared of evolving. It is entirely possible that the future of Bitcoin Cash is something that we can't even imagine today, which is something like the backbone of the AI economy, right? I don't pretend to know what the world is going to look like in 20, 30 years. Like, it's really brave new world, uncharted territory where we are now. And so BCH could end up becoming the thing of the next thing, and we can't even imagine what that is. And so that could be another way to measure success. But obviously we can't work towards it because we don't know that's where we're going. Yeah, it's not really a 30-minute answer. It's just we're not scared to evolve. And so if it gets to the point where the internet too, which is run by AI interacting with other AI and they trade computation time on
For
BCH
cat pictures.
or sure, whatever, something just so science fiction we can't even imagine yet. That could be a measure of success as well, which is perhaps even way more useful than hot dogs. But we'll see.
I'd like to point out you guys went like really far and big. And when I was thinking of the question, I'm like, do you remember when Steam was like, hey, we accept Bitcoin? And that was super exciting.
Yep.
And just imagine if they were like, we accept BCH now. because it's lower fees like Bitcoin was supposed to be. Do you know how exciting that would be? And you're like,
but let's
nah,
stop making it.
we're global currency. We're taking over the world.
Well, that's kind of
That's
why.
pretty successful, isn't it?
Yeah. That's kind of why I went the government attack route, because we've kind of already had major retail adoption in some forms. So like the Newegg and the Steam were very big in the tech scene for North America. Like I remember
Newegg still accepts.
they didn't for a long time, and they might now through BitPay.
I don't like BitPay. Pick any currency. It's just so broad and non-choosy.
BitPay is not choosy.
Yeah.
Well, they're all the cryptos, but it makes sense, right? So back in the early 2010s or whatever, there was Bitcoin and there was Namecoin and there was Litecoin, and that was basically it, right? And so if you wanted to accept crypto, well, you didn't need to have 75 different wallets and stuff. You just accepted Bitcoin. That was it. It was really easy. It was really simple. It was really clear. And then, of course, when it got kneecapped, they stopped. And then now the people that are crypto curious, it's like, well, I could run my own infra and stuff, or I could just install the BitPay plugin, and then people will pay me whatever they want to pay. They don't need to take a political stance, because they don't know what coin is really going to come out on top. And that's where we are now. There's, BTC is at 49 something or less percent dominance, maybe 43, I don't know. And then the majority of the world is using other, and that's made up of a bunch of things. So yeah, I don't blame companies like Newegg for accepting a very easy payment solution. Obviously, I'd prefer if they just accepted BCH and it made sense, because it's like, well, why would I bother accepting, BitBeans when I can just... BitBeans is a real thing. I used to accept a whole bunch of different cryptos in my store, and I got a message from someone like, hey, will you accept BitBeans? And I was like, sure, why not? And then I accepted their BitBeans, and I immediately swapped it for BCH. But in the end, I decided, no, I don't want to run all of this infra. I just make it easy, and BCH only, 50% off.
I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes total sense. Just accept everything, and
yep.
If it can be converted very easily, then just do that. Switch it to what you want automatically, and yeah. So I don't hate BitPay.
See, I think it should be more that constant. You pick what you want to accept, and they pay the gas fees, yada yada yada, to swap it in.
I think they can do that. So the business chooses what they want, and with their account, and that's what BitPay does. But you can still accept everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen, any convenience store in Japan has a sticker on the window or next to the register about all the different things they accept. And I'm not joking when it's more than 50 different kinds of payment options. There are so many different, gift cards and point cards and credit cards and apps and Samsung Pay and Apple Pay and Amazon Pay and PayPay and PayPay is a real thing. It's a huge major app here, PayPay. Yeah, I don't think the end user is particularly inconvenienced by having so many options. It's relatively straightforward as well. It's like cash and then other breaks into subcategories when you touch the touch screen, and you just keep going down the menus till you find excuse me, that you want to use. Once BCH gets in there, I think it'll be huge. But it's getting inroads into one of those POS systems and convincing them that dealing with issues on the back end as far as taxes and whatever, I mean, it's a very, very complicated thing. We have to outcompete the convenience of PayPay and these other institutional fiat systems. Yeah, it's a huge uphill battle, but hopefully we'll get there.
Those are the boring apps and services that people typically don't want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The accounting side and the government regulation side, and yeah.
Right. Well, especially here, I've read that they're trying to make Japan more crypto friendly, but after Gox blew up, And then also CoinCheck, I think, was another major exchange here that died in like 2017 or something. Japan has had a huge problem with people losing money on these exchanges. And so after that, they really tightened the rules up. And so basically that's where when all the ATMs just disappeared, is because to operate an ATM, you needed to have like a money transmitter exchange license. The fee just to get one of these licenses would evaporate any profits you could hope to get from operating an ATM. So that basically put a huge halt on the market here as far as like businesses, development, etc. But I think they've finally started to realize that that's kind of hurting innovation and the world is moving on. So I think they're starting to relax things a bit, but we'll see.
I think Canada's the same way, actually. So there's only a couple larger ATM networks still operating.
With a very high percentage.
It shouldn't be. I mean, like it should just be, I put a machine in my business. You can, yeah. But of course, people like, oh, you scammed me, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Government will, dad will come in and save us. Save me, Papa.
All right, you ready for question
All right,
two?
Nick. Yes.
If you have more to say, it's okay.
Nope.
So what does BCH need to gain in terms of whether it's services or like not including adoption? What do you think BCH needs to keep growing, to thrive, to advance?
So if it could have one thing right now, what would it be that would help the most?
Or
oh, wow. Yeah. Probably not the answer you want, but I would say bodies. There's a shortage of people working on stuff. There's lots of stuff to work on. There's a shortage of people working on stuff. So how do you inspire people to do that? Well, you pay them. And how do you pay them? Well, the price goes up. So my answer is price. The price needs to go up. That's the number one thing that BCH needs, is the price to be back to at least the previous high, which is $1,000 or so. So money can start flowing around again.
That's important. Kind of the same vein a little bit. I'd probably say organization. It needs the someone's. Like it kind of has it, because there's like the chip process. So if you just inject a bunch of money into the ecosystem in terms of higher price, it'll draw eyes, but that's not necessarily helping the ecosystem besides hype. Whereas I would think that, Jason Dreisner and Cash Tokens and all the work that everybody else has put into that by itself, I think has been like a cornerstone of what BCH, or a cornerstone of the reason BCH might do very well in the near future, because it just enables so much stuff. And if you had a DAO or more organization in the community pushing things, specifically taking ownership of things, that I think would also draw a lot of eyes, and would give substance behind people wanting to increase the price, as in wanting to get into this. So I'd probably go that route.
Why not both?
Why not both? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a chicken and egg thing, right? So there is definitely a lot of people who are developing BCH stuff right now who are still working regular people jobs. And if there was the ability to pay them a decent wage, they would be able to increase their output because they'd be full-time working on BCH stuff. And we've definitely lost people because they were lured away by other chains because they were willing to pay them to do the same thing they were doing for BCH. And I don't want to name any names, and I'll even obscure it so it's not obvious who the person I'm talking is. But there's somebody who was with BCH from when BCH launched until relatively recently, and they did great work. And you could tell they were really passionate about what they were doing. They really believed in BCH and the mission. But another chain poached them, and they said, hey, you're doing great stuff for BCH. Come over here. We'll pay you for doing the same thing you're doing for free. We've all got bills to pay. This person went over there and started doing the same thing. But the quality of their work, you could just tell that they're not into it. They're just doing it for a paycheck. And it's a shame. And if possible, I would love for them to have the ability to come back and be paid for what they were doing for free before. If the price goes up, then people are interested. But if people are interested, then the price will go up. So let's do both.
Price and price and people and organization. There, we need that one thing.
Yeah.
That one thing.
That one thing. That one
Both
thing.
allowed an answer.
But I mean, yeah, I agree. They're all connected, and I think organization is certainly part of it. You know, obviously the GP guys are really pushing. I don't know if you listen to their like native wallet stack podcasts recently, but they're really sort of pushing this idea that we need to be more organized as far as like what we're going to be building in the future, and the best way to get there starting from today. And if we don't build this foundation, we're just going to be playing catch up in the future as far as like using MetaMask, etc.
Yeah, I've caught some of those actually, and it's the whole templates thing for the wallets is going to enable quite a bit of more security and stuff, which would be really nice. Yeah, that's the type of stuff we need.
A lot of people talk about wanting to do things in BCH, but they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people were like, not necessarily a job board, because that involves the price go up, need to pay people, but as a bounty, I need help.
Yeah.
Doing XYZ or...
That's something in my proposal, actually.
Okay. Yeah, because we need more of that, where it's like random things that people could do.
There's two sort of sides to that. So I guess the inspiration for me was when I started the meme Telegram group, because it's like there are people who just love to make funny images, right? You get them all together in one group and they feed off each other, and it becomes this like feedback loop of, you know, one-upping the humor of a meme. And so exactly like you were saying, there's, you know, who knows how many people in the BCH community who want to be involved but don't know how to get involved, and are willing to do stuff but don't know where to begin, or you know, I felt the same years ago as well. It's like, who am I? What can I do? I'm nobody. So part of what I'm going to be proposing is, I'm not exactly sure what the format's going to be. Obviously, like the easiest way to do it would be like Discord, having a Discord channel where there's people who are volunteers and there's people who are looking for volunteers to work on stuff that is not necessarily an income or revenue generating thing. It's like, hey, does anybody know what font this is, or can somebody replicate this font on this meme? You know, like that. It's just like not super important stuff. And then of course there's also people who have talents and they're looking for work in BCH, and there's people who are looking for talent. Yeah, a real stretch goal sort of thing would be something like coin gigs that used to exist and unfortunately doesn't anymore. But again, that's basically like a whole other business, or you know, you need full-time staff working on something like that versus just like a side thing. But anyway, to start small, looking for volunteers and or job postings. Yeah, just what you're saying.
Yeah, there's definitely not a lack of will to do that, but it's the whole funding thing. It rears its head. So I've kind of found that, honestly, with trying to learn cash tokens ecosystem. A good and bad example, because there's so little documentation out there for certain parts of it. Like, as I'm trying to wrap my head around things, it's almost like I hit a black hole of a few spots where it's like I don't understand enough to delve into this, and there's no documentation for it. But it's a bad example in some cases, because it's like, as I've learned, there are certain pieces of it that I'm trying to do, and it's like, oh, that doesn't exist yet. So maybe next week.
So you make it, make it, and you document it while you make it. So.
Exactly. And like that's kind of a thing where it's like, as I'm learning this, I would love to document it and do stuff. So I'll give a quick shout out to Sahid, because I have a one-on-one with him tomorrow where he's basically going to try and catch me up to speed on some stuff that I don't understand. And I guess Bitcoin Cash Audit as well, because he also helps do a full once-over on...
Everybody.
Yeah, it's like so many people have helped, but it's very fragmented, and it would be nice to have that more organized and just have a more central place to go and get help and have people able to do that. That's kind of where the money issue comes in, so...
I think a bit of that too is you don't want to bug certain people for help.
Yeah, I'm a new coder. I'm a total amateur, basically. So it's like I have to get over the bugging these people for help, because I want to learn it, but they're doing other stuff that's way more bigger and important. That's definitely one thing where it's like, I think it would be really beneficial to have an area for new people to get into this stuff. People that want to get into coding, and not just, the brainiacs that already know this really well and have, 15 years dev experience and stuff. So
I wouldn't even say that though, because cash tokens is new. So everybody's kind of new to it. So people coming into it are all kind of going to be starting fresh and asking a lot of questions. And a lot of documentation that is there is very hard to find.
It is, yeah. And that's where it'd be nice to have a more central place for it.
Yeah.
Oh, but centralization is bad. Everything has to be decentralized, right? That's sarcasm.
Yeah.
For any, don't take that don't quote me on that. Yeah, I've heard that before when people have made these efforts to like centralize information or centralize communication. People are like, no, we don't want to be centralized. We want to be completely decentralized. And like, no. They're like, yeah, mining should be decentralized. It's not communication, not resources as far as like, learning.
Libraries aren't bad because they have lots of books in them. Like, you can still have books in other places.
Right. And you can also have multiple libraries. Like, it's not like, we put all of the cash token tutorials on this one website. Anybody, as long as you're going along with, open source, whatever, anybody can copy that and have it on their own resource page as well. It doesn't all need to be linked to Bitcoin Cash Library .resource, whatever. And I think everybody who's, really working on information on BCH is for like thinking about the FAQ that Jeremy has on the podcast website and stuff. I don't think anybody would particularly mind if you copied that information and posted it on your own thing. I mean, we all want BCH to succeed. We don't necessarily want credit for, well, I made the best tutorial document, so you can only link it to my website. I'm like, really? I don't think there's anybody who would really protest if you were like, hey, your document's great, can I also host it on my website? I don't imagine that anyone would say no, especially if you give them credit for it. Yes, we definitely need to have a better way for people to find information, because as it is right now, it's like, oh, you need to talk to this guy because he made this thing and he's the only one who knows what it is and it's on his website over there. It's like, where do you even start, right? So if I'm new and I hear about cash tokens online, it's like, okay, I got this idea, I want to develop on it. And it's like, where do you start? Cashtokens.org, I guess, but even that doesn't have everything. So
yeah, and like having the information is good too, but also just it would be immensely helpful to have people, money rears its head, have people dedicated to be available to support these things, or not support these things, but like to support people. And I'm not saying 24/7 stuff, but just people that are. I think you mentioned at one point suggesting to a few people to be like auditors for contracts.
Yeah.
So like encouraging stuff like that, so where it's like they actually maybe try to make a small business plan out of it, and just have more services like that. Have maybe devs that want to take on students almost. And actually, Jeremy was talking in the podcast recently about doing a Shark Tank style thing where it's like you get some more well-known developers and they each take on like a team of people that do a project, and people that want to like learn how to dev or do whatever they want to do. It's like, that's an example of a good idea of trying to like encourage people to get in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I love it. Someone should do that.
Someone should do that.
So many things are like, yes, it would be so great if we had that. But yeah, it's again, shortage of people, shortage of money.
Exactly.
That's why that was my answer for like, what do we need the most? And it's not like there aren't people that I guess we need a time machine or like a duplicating cloak so I can have four hands, and it's not like people are not willing. It's just everybody's kind of maxed out as far as their time. So Yeah, if you had money, that would alleviate the stress somewhat because you could pay people and they wouldn't need to have their day jobs, and may inspire other people to come in and do it as well or come back.
And any questions, Cheapy?
So there's a lot of things that need to be done, and there's a lot of effort that needs to be made. But let's assume that money wasn't a question. So, boom, your house is free and you get free food for the rest of your life, et cetera, et cetera. But you can only work on one thing. Of all the things that you think need to be done or that you want to do, what is the one thing you would choose to work on? And why you choose is up to you. If you think it's a priority for BCH or you think it's the most enjoyable for you, doesn't matter. What's the one thing that you would work on?
BCH do.
Wow. Okay.
I think a DAO on BCH is the most important thing because it encompasses everything we're talking about. Funding, people, and organization. It's coordinating everybody in the network to fund itself to do projects. And you're not just relying on a couple whales. And so there's Flipstarter right now, but it's very disorganized. So yeah, BCH2 to me is just a advanced version of Flipstarter that gets everybody more organized.
What about FundMe?
That I view FundMe as, so right now, Cash Starter is the first stepping stone of me learning this stuff. FundMe is the next stepping stone of trying to go a little farther, which is starting to touch on what BCH do, like a couple pieces of it. And then once FundMe was finished, BCH do, I think, would be the next one.
I see. So it's just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be...
Which is also useful.
Something else before BCH do, because there's pieces that BCH do needs.
That's true.
To make it more incentivizing.
Mm-hmm. So what we talked about before, where in a previous podcast, where apps and services on the network could almost plug into BCH do to gamify it a little bit for people. So doing that little web game that we developed or started developing on, like that's something, for example, that could plug in. Fog of War, which we did for Smart BCH, is also something that could plug in. So it's like maybe those pieces of those might come in before I did BCH do. So that BCH do is automatically already connected and you get rewarded by those services and apps for doing BCH do.
Someone should work on that.
Someone really should.
You're right.
Get on that, Ben.
I think BCH do would be such a core circle component that could make BCH like really decentralized, but so much more connected. In like you're funding people, but also like people can go there and like view it as a job because you can like put up I want to do this job, get paid weekly, and people can like confirm it, and you're incentivizing dexes. So we talked about one thing where you incentivize dexes to add, when you do a transaction, you top it up to the next, I don't know how you want to talk about it in crypto.
So with like fiat, like credit cards and debit and stuff like that, sometimes there's an option to like round up your purchase. So it's like you get an extra, you're like $3.75, so they round it to $4, so 25 cents like goes to your savings account.
Yeah.
Or it gets donated somewhere. So that's kind of an example where you could have some sort of like a little roundup thing where like it goes to your BCH do account.
And it would be like, you know, Satoshis type thing. So it could be very small amounts. And even if you're not actually contributing in the BCH do world, eventually your AFK account would go to those who aren't. So it would still eventually get to people who are asking for funding.
So you wouldn't even have to be an active participant as long as you just okayed your loose change going to the help development of,
exactly.
Not even development, help BCH in a very general sense.
Yeah,
that would be pretty awesome.
I think there's a lot more people, like a lot of people would default be like, people aren't going to give away money. But like, really, the amount of people that, if you did something like, will you give 2 cents per transaction to like some kids charity or something. Like there's a lot of people that actually would do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small amount. So, and when you encompass that in a worldwide network, that could be a gigantic amount of money.
And where now you can choose where you donate that, where it could be a kids charity, or it could be to general protocols as Flipstarter, or it could be to, you know, somebody's college funds. Like there's so many people who do Flipstarter type things, and now you can choose where your money and cents go. But yeah, we've heavily discussed BCH too.
Sounds like it. I was gonna say I don't know if you guys know, but in Japan we have really tiny aluminum 1 yen coins. Can't use them anywhere other than like a store, like vending machines, and even like the train station ticket machines and stuff won't accept them. Both 1 and 5 yen coins are not accepted by any sort of automatic thing, just because they're so voluminous. Nobody wants to deal with them. And so at convenience stores and many other stores, they'll have some little charity box on the counter for, you know, dog shelters or whatever the charity is. And I hate carrying around handfuls of coins so much that every single time I just dump my coins in these charity boxes, because like I don't want to deal with them. Oh, and that's the other thing. Like even now the banks, they'll charge you a fee if you give them more than 50 coins at a time or something. So it's like the banks don't even want them. So it's like, I don't want this shit, so I'm going to give it to charity. And I'm absolutely fine doing that every single time. It adds up, of course, over the year. It's, you know, maybe even $100. Who knows? Yeah, I would gladly give my my loose change to help BCH development as well. So that sounds like a great idea. Now all you have to do is make the DAO and all the plugins, and then get the wallets on board. So
I'll slot it in tomorrow after my lunch, you know.
Yes, no problem. It's another Tuesday or Friday or whatever. I don't know where I am. Well, that's a good answer. So same question to you, Vin. If you could only work on one thing, you have to choose a different answer now.
I have to choose a different answer?
Yeah.
And it has to be in BCH?
Well, I guess you could, if all of your expenses were paid for, and you could only, and you could work on one passion thing that is important to you. Sure. Okay. Even non-BCH stuff. What would you work on?
Well, if it's not BCH.
The truth comes out. Priorities. Here we go.
BTC.
That's great.
I was going to say Doge.
Oh,
nice. Yeah. I'd get a job at Blockstream. Yeah. Or even better, the SV, Bitcoin Cash Association. I'd get a job at the Bitcoin Cash Association.
Oh, yes.
Craig Wright Legal Defense Fund.
Yes.
Passion project. I love pain. Yeah. Is that your serious answer, Doge?
No. If I didn't have multiple torn tendons, I would bookbind all of Brandon Sanderson's books.
Yeah.
That would be my passion project.
All right. That's really high on my list too. What a coincidence.
You can be artsy sometimes.
Yeah. Really though, in BCH though, besides BCH do, I think a foundation-y is like the highest priority in my opinion.
Okay, well, I happen to know someone who's working on one if you want to help them out.
Like, I think those are the two. Yeah. You have your funding route.
And organization.
And your organization.
Dun, da, da, da.
Broken records.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to the Beat
Rinse,
the Drum
podcast.
Yeah.
What would you work on?
So that's obviously
because you don't want to work on this stuff. What do you want to work on?
Yeah, there's a huge difference between what I think is important and what I would choose to work on if I didn't think other things were more important and more necessary. And so I am working on an animated thing. It's really slow going because I really don't have time to work on it. You know, I hate saying it, but I'm an artist at heart. I would much rather be working on really creative stuff, which is, you know, music and other things, which doesn't necessarily have to be disconnected from BCH as well. So if I just had more time, I would be really happy doing this other creative stuff, which is a bit time intensive. And sadly, that's what I'm lacking the most of. You know, when I wake up in the morning and look at the stuff I've got to do, it's like, yeah, this fun thing is not really a priority. So it's just down the list. And so it gets to the point where it's like, well, I can't do this stuff 7 days a week, 18 hours a day or whatever. So I've got to carve out a little time for other things. But I'm not really good at doing that because there's always some fire to put out as well. So yeah, I think it also just gets, you know, it's the same, hey, let's say it again, you know, it's people. So if there was more people and they could be paid whatever, then, you know, I don't want to be a moderator. I don't want to be the, you know, evil mod X who censors everyone and is corrupt and a CIA agent and, you know, all the other things that I don't want to be doing. I don't even want to. He admitted it. Yeah. Quote, he's literally Hitler. Yeah, I would. If it was up to me, I wouldn't be moderating anything. But it is a huge someone problem, and I don't keep track of number of moderator actions. But I'm sure I'm near the top of the list as far as like deleting spam bots and creating filters and all those sorts of things. There was a need, and I jumped in because it had to be done by someone. Someone. But I don't want to be doing it. I really don't. You know, it's not something I enjoy doing. I don't actually at all. I don't like it. I'm going to say it. I don't like it. And I wish it didn't need to be done, but somebody's got to do it. And I hate the drama. I don't like being a part of it. I don't like having to make judgment calls on it. I don't want to be spending my time doing it. I'd much rather be making something silly and fun and enjoyable and put smiles on people's faces. And hopefully we can get to the point where that's possible, but I don't think we're quite there yet. So let's work on making that happen.
Yeah, I kind of am in the same boat where I enjoy learning this stuff and seeing stuff built from it. I don't like the learning part where I'm banging my head against the wall all the time. Like the BCH do stuff, I think it's very important. It's not necessarily what I want to be working on. So I'm going to steal another answer and say, if
games.
If I didn't...
I was going to say BCH too, because I thought you were going to pick games.
Although, I'm not going to pick the one you think. If I wasn't worried about all the DAOI style stuff that needs to get done, I would take the best MMO game.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not.
I would take the best MMO, Asheron's Call.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I would run up a custom server with BCH integration into it.
Literally the worst game.
It is not.
With the worst graphics. It has one good thing going for it.
It has the best loot system.
That's the only good thing.
It's a topic between us.
I've never played this game.
It came out when EverQuest 1 did, basically. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, 2004.
1999.
I was going to say before that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It was a Microsoft originally 1999. Yeah, until 2004, and then Turbine, and then Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Dark Age of Camelot was so much better.
Yeah. Nah.
Yes.
You heard of Asheron's Call?
I did hear the name. Yes. I played Ultima Online and EverQuest. That's a whole other story. And then I remember this came out and I had no interest in it because
it sucks.
It does not.
Not
sleeping on the couch.
It sucks. Not because it sucks, but because I'd given up on MMORPGs because I saw what they were doing to my life, and I was like, I can't do this. I gotta live because this is ruining everything.
They're very addictive.
So, yeah, it's just ridiculous, right? Yeah, I totally gave up on MMORPGs. I still, obviously Fallout and Skyrim and whatever, but there's no. I mean, you can turn it off anytime you want. There's no like social commitment to like you got to be there at this time. They're counting on you to tank or whatever. So it's just
easier to walk away from for a while.
I am Bitcoin, I'm not nervous. I'm the tech that changes what society is. I am money, I create freedom, and I'm limited, so I know what my worth is. I don't ask how high the fee is. I don't open, verifiable blockchain. Hashes and transactions, I find them, I process them. I verify what I'm handed, I trust what's commanded. But under the surface, I feel berserk like a keyboard warrior that's suddenly wordless. Under the surface, was Satoshi ever like, yo, I don't wanna fight big banks. Under the surface, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can't be of service. A bug or a hack, a line in the stack that breaks the camel's back. What breaks the camel's back? It's growth of the fees that'll never stop. Whoa, users that'll leave till we just go bump. Whoa, give it to BCH, their blocks got bigger, and all we got was this damn ticker. Who am I if I can't scale with the bull? If I fall to payments that are slow, and they just won't go. Whoa, fees that'll grow till it's ready to blow. Whoa, give it to Satoshi, blockchain is stronger. See the users throw away the dollar. Who am I if I can't verify it at all? If I falter under the surface, I hide my nerves and it worsens. I worry a central chain will hurt us. Under the surface, the miners will leave. They need fees, lighting will kill this. Under the surface, I think about the white paper. Can we somehow preserve it? Line up, Maxis, yo, electronic gold blow. Who can try to stop it, tumbling, we're on it goes. But wait, if I could scale to support the whole world's transactions, would that free some room up for more developmentation or simple uses? Instead we measure this growing blockchain. Keeps growing, keep going, 'cause all we see is rising of the fees that'll never stop. Whoa, users that'll leave till we just go pop. Whoa, BCH is Bitcoin, the original purpose. See why it can sustain all the miners' income. Watch as Satoshi's decide bends but never breaks. No mistakes, just fees that are low and sustainable. Whoa, blocks that can grow, 'cause we're ready to go. Whoa, come to Bitcoin Cash and never wonder when Blockstream's gonna pull you under. What's the point if not world currency? Low fees, big blocks, no mistakes, no pressure.
Help me.
The help me redesign
He mentioned he wanted to have the troll box and other features.
options.
Yeah.
And so we ended up coming up with a Sayoshi version, verse Vin version. And then he mentioned Cheapy version.
Here we go.
So because it's going to be a React site, you can just click a button and it'll change the entire look of the site.
Oh, nice.
And so if you do it, you
So
click, and we said when you scroll, it would go meow. Or if you click,
I
it'd
love
go
it.
meow.
Make it real. Make it happen. And also, like, everything everyone types in stays the same number of characters, but it all gets changed to just meow, 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 meow.
Well, we were thinking, because this is when we're talking about, like, if you click on one of the boxes, it might, like, open up another box or something with more info. But it's like every time they open up one, it, like, starts a meow that goes like a random, like it might meow and then wait 6 seconds and do it again and then wait 15 seconds and do it again, so it's random. But every time you open up one of the boxes, it starts that again for each box. You could get like a symphony of meows going.
That sounds like hell.
Exactly, it's perfect.
Please make it. Please make it. I would love it so much. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like the weekly news videos, I don't know if you've watched any of them, but they have Easter eggs in them.
Oh,
yeah. There's some hidden stuff here and there. Nobody's found everything yet. When I started, I was like, okay, this is going to be a serious thing. And I can't help myself. I just can't. I can't It's just like, but it would be funny if I did this. And no one would notice, so it's okay. It's okay because no one will notice.
Now I need to go back and watch them all.
I was gonna
Again.
say.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
I don't think I do.
Is there any penises?
No.
Okay, well, I want the
there's
next one to
nothing-
have a penis somewhere.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna.
You could have text on the screen where the first letter of each one is PENIS.
Right. So that's something I may do, but I'm definitely not gonna like risk putting in like porn just to get. I mean,
I don't mean a real one.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still
I mean,
like
it's repping BCH.
right. So
That's true.
yeah. I mean, if I could put like, if headlines in order spell penis or something, like, okay, that's subtle enough that no one will stumble upon it. But like a single frame of a penis, like Fight Club style, it's just like you can pause with really high precision now. So yeah, I'm not going to do that.
The
Yeah.
Bitcoin Cash logo with like a ball gag on. And a dildo.
All right, this is going off the rail.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gone. It's finished.